Hi, true crimers. I have the WTF crime story for you. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's just get into it. Okay, I'm gonna take it back to 2015, where 31-year-old Latisha Hunt married Al Stott, and she became a mother of three: one biological daughter, Harley, and his two kids, Elena and Gannon. Al shared custody with his ex-wife Landon Bullard. Latisha has an extensive academic background, including a bachelor's degree in political science to a master's degree, and just smart woman, right? She worked as an assistant teacher, but also managed to pick up a few full-time teaching positions too. She was even an at-risk coordinator. In 2016, her South Carolina teaching license was suspended after she abandoned her teaching duties with the district after 7 days of employment. She claimed she left because she experienced harassment and retaliation after requesting to be released from her contract due to a pending military move, which claims had been denied. It's proved credible since Al worked in the National Guard full-time and was placed around the country for several weeks at a time. She also alleged that the district superintendent was Al's ex-wife, Landon. That's why she was getting that harassment, but it was never. In January 2019, Al and Latisha moved to Colorado for Al's work, them two plus the three children. Latisha got her Colorado teaching license and was a substitute teacher for the Whitefield School District in southern El Paso County. January 24, 2020, Latisha attended a job orientation. She also worked at French Elementary. And then January 26, 2020, while Al is in Oklahoma for military training, Harley was at work at Massage Envy, so her daughter. Latisha, Gannon, and Elena went hiking at Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs. This was a frequent activity of theirs, and I'll show photos of them that day. And then later on that night, they get home. Apparently, Gannon knocked over a candle that burned the carpet, and so she sends some text messages to Al claiming he was really scared and everything, but he's okay. And then she posts a video. You could hear Gannon in the back crying, and she's like, I know you're scared, bud, but we have to sell something. You have to pick something to sell. We're going to sell the sofa so we could fix this. And this little boy's crying. He's 11, and he's crying. Get over it. Accidents happen. He burnt the carpet. It's a little patch. It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, she's like, should we sell the sofa? Is that what we should sell? So just really crazy. But I think that was all in her game plan. Anyways, the next morning, January 27th, 2020, she texted Al and said that Gannon will not be going to school. And she also called into work, claiming her stepfather was hit and killed by a car. This story is half true. He had been hit and killed by a car, but many years earlier. And then 12 hours after calling into work around 7 p.m., she calls 911 claiming Gannon was out with friends and hasn't come home yet. And she also claims that she has drove around the neighborhood looking and has stopped at his friend's house, and he's nowhere to be found. When they get her in touch with a non-emergency number, that's when they ask her, well, what friends, what are his names, who are the parents, and she can't recall any of that. She can't recall any names, parents' names, or where they lived. Come on. At 7:32 p.m., he was entered into the state and national database as an active runaway. And just 3 hours later, around 10 p.m., that's when deputies at El Paso Sheriff's Office went down to take the report in person and then asked to search the home with her permission. And she said, yeah, nothing looked out of the ordinary, so they left. January 28th, the next day, she parks her Volkswagen car at the short-term parking at the airport, goes and rents a car, and then picks up Al from the airport. And Al's like, where's your car? And she's like, oh, I don't want to put miles on my car, so I rented a car. red flag. Like, Al's like, dude, our kid is missing. Like, who gives a shit about Miles at this point, right? It's Gannon's safety and his whereabouts. But she didn't give a shit. So first red flag to Al. And then she says that she parked her car at the elementary where she works. So Al went and drove by, and guess what? Car's not there. So Al's ex-wife traveled to Colorado as well to help with the search of Gannon. They spent the day of the 28th searching for Gannon before Latisha went off on her own. I guess Landon was staying with the dad, Al, while she was in town to search for her son, which, okay, that's okay, right? Apparently she wasn't okay with it, and so she leaves on her own because she don't give a shit. January 28th, about 7 p.m., Latisha brought the rental car back to the airport and got her own vehicle at 10:30 p.m. And then Harley picks her mom up shortly after that. Her car was nowhere in sight. We have no idea where her car is. And we don't know what she did from 7 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. of January 28th. And we're going to name that January 28th gap because, and we'll circle back to that. So stay with me. 10:45 p.m., Latisha texts investigators the following, and I will post it. Basically saying, I'm not going to read verbatim, but basically saying, like, one of your own has told me you guys are looking into me, saying I did it, like, what do you want from me, and all this. And the detective responds, like, look, just come in and talk to us. That's all we want, so that we could find Gannon. That's all we care about at this point. The next morning, January 29th, Latisha voluntarily met with El Paso investigators to talk about Gannon, but she arrives like 2 hours late. Back in her car, though, which was squeaky clean, and she made several different claims. And when she first gets there, like, she brings notes, okay? And it's like, can I take my notes out? And, like, so I know what I mean. Like, really? This is about your son, lady, or your stepson. And so she tells them about the hike, the carpet incident, and saying that, and mind you, she didn't call any carpet places to get the carpet fixed. No, she had a better plan. Houses that were being built in the same neighborhood as hers, she went and found some workers, like Mexican guys, she claimed to her, claiming, and asked if they wanted to do an odd job. One says yes, and she gave him the garage code and then went on her way. She claims she got back at like 2:25 and claims that the carpet guy, like, was still there and he was wearing gloves and a gun and, like, hit her and was holding Gannon captive, and like, his name was Eduardo, I don't know. Eduardo, I don't know. She said it was something like that, and and he asked for a suitcase and hit her in the head, and she blacked out and doesn't know what happened. And she said that Gannon never left to go play with friends. She made that up, apparently, because she was scared, and she don't know where the guy took him. And this is, after that, this is when she wants to leave. Like, okay, I'm done talking. Can I go? You guys aren't holding me. And they were like, well, just 1 second. Let me make sure we got everything we need. And she's like, but you said I could leave on my own free will, like, being really weird, you know? And they were like, and they're trying to stall her because they want to get, like, a warrant signed for her DNA. And so they want her Coke can that she was drinking out of, and they want her phone. So they're trying to, like, stall her, and she's like, you know, so they get her phone, though. They do manage to get that and the Coke can, okay? And then she starts, like, saying she can't breathe, and she's panicking. So she's rushed to the hospital, and they're waiting for the warrant. But obviously she had no, like, underlying health conditions. So she was released from the hospital, which she didn't tell the cops that were present, by the way. But she wasn't under arrest, so it was deemed legal at this point, her avoidance. So, and she was picked up by someone unknown. And I'm out of time, so follow for part 2, y'all.